Peace. What's the word? What's happening, everybody? Hopefully, everybody is having a powerful, productive, peaceful. What is it? Wednesday. Hopefully, y'all got about 45 minutes or so to tap in and listen to the build. Man, I'm short on time, but you already know we're gonna maximize the time and make this effective. I'm gonna give y'all about 3 to 5 minutes to tap in with the kid. Let me know how y'all living and feeling on this wonderful Wednesday before I start tapping in to this subject matter, man, and going on my little vent and rant, whatever you want to call it, man. But what's the word? Let me know how y'all living and feeling on this wonderful Wednesday before I start tapping in on the subject matter, man. What's happening? How my people's doing? Javon, peace. What's happening? What's the word? Jakari, peace. What's happening? What's the word? My brother Antonio, what's happening? Let me see, man. We gotta handle business. Handle business. What's happening? Kevin, peace. TJ, what's happening? Mark, Tony, peace. What's happening? What's happening? How y'all living and feeling on this wonderful Wednesday, man? What's the word? How everybody living? How everybody feeling? Talk to me before I start talking to y'all. Lonzo, peace. What's happening? How this Wednesday treat y'all, man? Y'all see the subject matter, man. Hey, listen. I've been back on my what people call black power kick, whatever you want to call it. I've been back on that kick recently. Anybody that knows me from back in the day know that's kind of what I ain't gonna say became known for, but I was making a name for myself, dropping that type of information, just dropping that type of knowledge, man. You know, that black knowledge, that black information, man. I'm getting back into that. I'm getting back into that frequency, man. I'm getting back into it. You know, doing everything for my people, reading everything by my people, just supporting my people, unifying black folks, man. I'm getting back into that mindset. You know, getting back into that mindset, and I don't really care who is not for that mindset. You know, I don't have one of those universal type of mindsets to where I'm accepting of everybody else. Like, nah, I do what I do strictly for black people. Now, if some other people benefit, hey, that's nice. But again, I do what I do strictly for my people. I do everything that I do strictly for black people. And the way that I look at it, all these other ethnic groups capitalize on the black dollar. All these other ethnic groups place their stores, place everything in the black neighborhood, and we make them rich. You know, so why not do that for ourselves? That's how I look at it. That's how I look at it. Why I can't target my people. And I've talked about this in previous streams, man. When I bring a business plan to the table, you know, when I bring a business plan to the table and I'm letting people know that my target audience is black people, they looking at me like that's a mistake. Your target audience shouldn't be black people. You're not going to make money targeting black people. Why not? Everybody else does it. Everybody else is making money off of black people. So why, when I say, hey, this message is specifically towards black people or specifically for black people, or I'm making a product specifically for my people, why everybody looking at me like that's a bad business plan? When all these other ethnic groups do that, they going after the black dollar. The black dollar is very prestigious. We make a lot of money. We just don't keep it. You know what I'm saying? Like the black people in the wilderness of North America, we not impoverished. We not poor. We make a lot of money collectively. The money just leaves our community as soon as we get it. That's the problem. You know, so we don't have wealth, but we don't have a problem generating money, generating income. That's not a problem in the black community. The black community doesn't have a problem of generating income, of generating revenue. We have a problem of turning that money, turning that revenue into wealth. That is our problem. It's the only problem. But we not poor in terms of making money and generating revenue. That's never been a problem. Black people gonna figure out how to make some money. That's what we gonna do. We gonna find a way to make some money. We gonna work 4 or 5 jobs for these white folks. Whatever we gotta do, we gonna make the money. We gonna do it. So that's not the problem. The problem is what we do with the money once we make it. Spending it on a bunch of frivolous nonsense that we shouldn't spend it on. And then wonder what's happening to our money. See, that's what starts to happen. That's what starts to happen. But we make enough money. So if I want to target black people, it's enough money in the black community to where I could speak specifically to my people, which in marketing, they call that having a niche or having a target audience, which is something that you're supposed to do, and that's my target audience, black people. I didn't try to be universal. I didn't try to fix my message in a way to where, hey, they don't flag my channel, things like that. They don't flag my pages. Don't work out for me. It doesn't work for me. I've tried it. I'm not cut out for that type of talk, for that type of communication. I'm only wired to communicate one way, and I realize that, and I accept my reality. And the people that don't accept that reality, there are plenty of other platforms and people on YouTube and people on Facebook, Instagram, that they do a very good job of including everybody in their message. I don't care to include everybody. I don't care to include, like, why should I have to include white people in my message? Why should I have to include Asians in my message? Why should I have to include anybody else in my message? Why? Somebody give me a reason as to why I should include them in my message. I can't relate to them. I can't vibe with them. I haven't had the same experiences as them. I don't know what it's like to be them. I don't know what it's like to be an Asian in America. I don't know what it's like to be a white person in America, so I can't relate to that. So why should my message include them? This ain't no knock on these folk. You know what I'm saying? Even though y'all know how I feel about some of them, I ain't knocking them. I ain't speaking negatively or I ain't speaking hatred. I'm just saying I can't relate to them, so it's hard for me to construct a message that includes a group of people that I really can't relate to. I'm speaking to the people that I can relate to and that can relate to me. Flat out. Jasmine, what's happening? Daryl, peace. Peace to everybody that's tapping in, man. Prodigal Son, peace, what's happening? MC, congrats, and please drop the photos, the videos, whatever you got. Tony, for sure. I'm all for the empowerment and then possibly inclusion. But man, Elijah Muhammad, Nation of Islam, all of them, man, they then talk about, separation. I've always talked about being a fan of separation and me feeling like when we were separated or segregated, that was a very Prodigal Son, appreciate the cash app. That was our people at that time didn't really seize that moment, seize that opportunity. And I know why. So I'm not talking negatively about my ancestors from back in the day. They were brainwashed. They thought, oh, if we get to these white schools, if we get to play in the white major leagues, then that's where the real money is at. And that was partially true. And that's where the better quality of books was at and all that type of stuff. That was partially true. That was partially true. But at that time, they didn't have a vision. Like, all right, man, if we just build this Negro League up, then it could amount to this. If we just focus on building our communities up, then it could amount to this. And then those of us that did understand the vision and realize the vision, they destroyed the towns. Black Wall Street, Rosewood, all of these towns. So the individuals, the black communities that realized, man, it's a lot of power in us being separated and having our own. They didn't necessarily like that, so they destroyed these communities. And those communities that was like, man, we trying to integrate amongst white folks, they allowed them communities to exist or to continue to exist. The communities that was thriving without white involvement, and we wasn't trying to be involved or included with the white folks, they destroyed them communities. Move. Y'all know about Move and was that Philly? Y'all know we know about it. They destroyed our brothers and sisters that was a part of Move. Destroyed them. But our brothers and sisters from Move, they didn't go out without a fight. They went out with a fight. They went out with a bang. And most of the times, our ancestors went out with a bang. See, they like to make it seem like, this is another thing I don't like. So when people be like, oh, I couldn't have been a slave back then because I would have did X, Y, and Z. Man, do you know how many of our ancestors back then wasn't dealing with the nonsense and went out swinging and went out fighting? Come on now. I got some elders in my family that stood up to them white folks, that put their hands on these white folks back at a time where, hey, that could cost you your life. So like that's a misconception that all of our people was just passive and submissive to slavery. You know what I'm saying? Nah, it was a lot of brothers and sisters that wasn't going. It was a lot of brothers and sisters back then that wasn't going. And white folks, man, they sitting on the porch with the shotgun, like, you white folks come over here, this is what we finna do. You know what I'm saying? I'm protecting my investment here. You know, like flat out, man. I was reading about Malcolm X and his peoples, you know, and just how ruthless they were when it came to dealing with these white folks. You know, straight up, man. We had a lot of great ancestors from back in the day, man, that was standing up to these white folks. Man, they wouldn't let these white folks walk all over them and do all this nonsense. You know, that's a misconception. You know, so for the people that be like, man, I couldn't have been no slave back in the day and all this, it was plenty of your ancestors that had the same mentality and went out fighting. They only want to show you the passive ones. You know, they don't really want to show you. They don't want to continuously. The only time they're going to show you the ones that stood up and fought against the racism are the ones that ended up getting killed. So that instills fear in you. That, okay, if we stand up to these white folks, we end up dead. But it was plenty of black men, and we're going to focus on black men. It was plenty of black men that stood up to these white folks in a way that they did not end up dead. But they're not going to show that. They got to show you those that stood up to the system and got killed for it. So now you looking at it like, oh, okay, the consequence of or repercussion of standing up against white folks is death. That's the message that they had to instill in the minds of black people. So, all right, we're going to show you that, yeah, there were some brave and courageous black folks that stood up against the system, but look what happened to them. But look what happened to them. So when you see them in the movie, when you see it in the movie that they stood up against them, where they getting beat, they getting killed, assassinated, all that. They're not going to show you the times where the black man stood up against the white man, held his own, and did not get killed. They can't show you images of that. They can't show you images of that. They can't show you them. They can't show you that. They got to show you that, hey, if you stand up against white folks, you die. That's the message that they got to get across. You stand up against white folks, you die. You know, and yeah, hey, Nat Turner took a couple heads with him. You know what I'm saying? A few heads with him, not a couple. Nat Turner wasn't playing with him. And at the end of the day, that's what it's going to take. Khalid Muhammad talked about, at the end of the day, nobody wants to hear that. And they say you speaking violence and all that. But at the end of the day, that's what it's going to boil down to. In order for us to be free and truly liberated, bloodshed is going to be required. There is no way that we are going to passively attain this liberation and freedom. It's not going to happen. And I'm not saying we need to go out there and just start killing folks. But what I'm saying is, if we all one day wake up and realize things ain't right collectively, it's going to be some bloodshed. They're not just going to say, oh, okay, black people now they didn't all came together collectively and they didn't realize something ain't right, and they just hand us our position, you know what I'm saying, passively with no resistance. No, it's not going to happen. If that were the case, we would have been received what we call reparations and things like that. We haven't received that type of stuff for a reason, but they have given reparations to other ethnic groups. But black people in America, all of a sudden, we don't deserve reparations. We haven't received any compensation for what our ancestors had to go through, but other ethnic groups have. America has paid other ethnic groups. America has paid other countries, believe that. But America has not paid the black man and black woman. They haven't done it. Haven't done it. We all of a sudden don't deserve that. You know, we don't deserve that. We didn't deserve it. We didn't deserve to get this 40 acres and this mule that they talked about. We didn't deserve that. But other ethnic groups did, even though they did not have to come close to enduring what our ancestors had to endure. And I'm not even going to say our ancestors. because we are still affected by slavery. People want to say that was in the past, but no, we are still affected. We still have certain traits that a lot of us possess unknowingly that stems from what our people went through during that time. At the end of the day, when you really do the knowledge to the math, do the numbers, bring the math into the situation, slavery, which I still feel like we are enslaved psychologically, but the actual physical form of slavery, when you had sundown towns, which you still have, but when it was more overt, that wasn't that long ago. That wasn't that long ago at all. Like when you really do the knowledge to it, when racism was more overt and things along those lines, that was not too long ago. That was not too long ago. So when people be like, man, that was in the past, and this people like you, the reason why racism won't die. See, then they blame me. I done been blamed for the reason why racism and all of this type of stuff won't die, won't go away. Like it's my fault. Like it's my fault of what these white folks did. No, every action has a reaction, or every action has a consequence. These white folks mistreated our people for how long? And they got to deal with the consequences every time somebody like me gets knowledge of themselves and gets the truth. Now you got to deal with a truth-telling black man. That's the consequence of the actions of their ancestors. So you cannot blame a black man in America that's speaking the truth to what has happened and what is happening in regards to the reason why slave racism and all that type of stuff still exists. Nah. As long as you have, and this is just real, and folks don't want to admit this reality. That's in that Peace Queen, what's happening? People don't want to admit this reality, but I live in reality. You know what I'm saying? As long as we have black people, white people, there will be a power struggle. That's just what's gonna happen. As long as we have that in existence, there will be a power struggle. That's just what it's gonna be. I don't care if you think you colorblind. I don't care if you don't think color exists. The fact of the matter is, it does. The fact of the matter is, when somebody looks at me, if your eyes are working, you see brown, you see melanin, you see the pigment, you see the darker pigmentation. You see it. You can't ignore that, fam. You can't tell me if your eyes are working. If your eyes are working and you looking at this screen, there's no way you can look at me and say, I don't see your color. Didn't matter if you say that you disrespecting me. You saying that you don't see me. At the end of the day, when you looking at me, you see an original man. You see brown pigmentation. You see the pigmentation. You see it. You can't ignore it. So as long as we have that, we gonna have this power struggle. Because and I've asked this several times, and I have not gotten an answer in regards to somebody showing improvement. When there has ever been a time where black people, original people, black and brown, we gonna focus on black and brown because most of us here are black and brown. We fit that, because we got a whole color spectrum. But let's just focus on black and brown for a minute. When has there ever been a period of time where you had black and brown peacefully coexisting with the white? And we just gonna focus on it. When I ask this question a lot, when have you had a time where we peacefully coexisted with the white? Now, when I mean peacefully coexisted, I mean that the power was evenly distributed. Like there wasn't, when you look at the power structure, there wasn't all these white folks at the top and then like 2 or 3 black people sprinkled in. Like, nah, we had 40, we had 50-50 in regards to the power struggle. Like, nah, we never had that. That will never exist. Even if we get on top, that it's not going to exist like that. So I don't live in that type of delusional state. I don't live in that type of delusional state, fam. I live in reality. As long as we have a white power structure, then white folks will have the upper hand and the advantage, and the system will work in their favor. And we are still under the same white power structure that was responsible for the enslavement of our people. And that's a fact. Y'all can let me know something if I've been sleeping under a rock, but the last time I checked, we are still under this same power structure. We are still under that same Constitution and Bill of Rights that was written by some slave owning founding fathers, so to speak. Now, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but last time I checked, there was never an overthrow of the system or the government, and now we are under a totally different set of rules and regulations. Correct me if I'm wrong, but last time I checked, I don't think the system has been changed. I don't think that the system has been overthrown. I don't think that that's happened. Now, again, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. I could be mistaken, but I don't think that I am. Logic on lockdown. Peace. What's happening? Like I don't think that I'm mistaken in that regard. You know, we are still under that same power structure. We are still under that same set of rules and laws. We are still under that constitution that was written by racists, that was written by slave owning white folk, white men in particular. This system that we are still currently operating under is still the same system where the laws and all of that was written by slave owning white men. Slave owning white men. This is the system that we are still following and adhering to its rules and regulations. Now, somebody asked a great question. Somebody was, I think it was my brother Thunder Scorpion, that was like, boom, if we overthrow the current system, then what type of system will we put in its place? And how could we ensure that the system that we would replace it with would not be as corrupt? Very great question. But at the end of the day, this is how it's going to unfold. We overthrow the system. We get back on our throne. It's not going to be perfect at the beginning because you're dealing with folks that have been brainwashed. You're dealing with folks that have been corrupted. You know what I'm saying? You're dealing with a lot of folks that's acting other than their true selves. But once we get back on that throne, what's going to eventually happen is that our true nature is going to take over. And it's going to get back to how things used to be when we were functioning and thriving as a people. Yeah, we had a variety of different systems and tribes. You know, we existed in other countries, but we coexisted a lot better amongst ourselves than we did when you start bringing in the Arab and you start bringing in the white folk. Like, yes, we still had folks killing one another, things like that. People like to bring up slavery and enslavement amongst black folks. Yeah, we still had certain systems like that, but it was a lot more honorable than what happened to our people in via the hands of white folks. You were still able to keep your culture, your language, your name, all of that. You know, you was more of a prisoner of war, things like that. You basically was trespassing. You know, you were somewhere where you were not supposed to be, and via the agreement, now I gotta hold you captive. But you get to keep your name, you get to keep your language, you get to keep your culture. We're not gonna strip you of all of that. We had an agreement saying, hey, if you on this side of town at this time of the day or whatever the agreement was, then we got to hold you captive. You got to be a prisoner of war, and we got to have a conversation, you know what I'm saying, with the head of state on this other side of town where you came from. That was the type of situation that was going on then. You know, so a lot of people be like, man, black folk were slave. They don't put the context into the situation, fam. It wasn't a whole group of people that can strip you of your culture, your name, your language, your heritage to the point you forgot who you are, where you came from. That's not what was going on amongst African tribes, amongst original tribes, whatever you want to call it. Folks still knew who they were and where they came from. Now we got a whole group of people, whole generations of folks, and I'm talking about original people in the wilderness of North America that have no idea what their heritage is, where they came from, who they are. No idea, to the point where we have to debate about it, where we have to argue about it. Like, that's how bad they got us. We have to argue about who we are because we don't know. We messed around and forgot. They didn't destroy the libraries. They didn't told us lies. We didn't accepted the lies. Now we have no idea who we are. So now we arguing about it. As if it's not a possibility that we could be a bunch of different things, because we were very diverse in regards to our culture. So we were not just one thing, and I talk about this all the time. We were not just Hebrew Israelites. We were not just Moors. At one point, we had a group of people that possessed that name. That's a fact. So we had a group of people that possessed the name, possessed the title, possessed the nationality, whatever you want to call it. But amongst people that have the same pigmentation as me, we have a lot of different nationalities, cultures, groups, whatever you want to refer to it as. So we arguing about something, and it is pointless, because you arguing about being an Israelite, being a Moor, when at the end of the day, the original Israelites were black, or original, whatever you want to call it, and the original Moors are that. So what are we arguing about? What are we arguing about? You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, when I can tell you that, okay, the first people to possess this label look like me. The first people that possess this label also look like me. So what am I arguing with you about? And that's where they got us. They got us arguing about this like we can only be one of those things. Like we can only be an Israelite and nothing else. Like we can only be a Moor and nothing else. Like we can only be a Muslim and nothing else. No. I don't live by that reality. I'm the original man of the planet Earth. Most of these cultures sprang from what my folks was teaching back in the day. So we all of that, and then some. We all of that, and then some. Again, the original man of the planet, the original people. The original people of the planet Earth. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? The original people of the planet Earth. I'm going to say that for the original people of the planet Earth. So I'm not about to be arguing and debating about what we about to call ourselves. I'm not finna do that. I'm not gonna do that, man. I'm not gonna do that. There's no you're not gonna ever get that type of debate from me. I'm not debating that. I come from 5% nation of gods and earths, man. We say the original people of the planet Earth, and that's what I stand by. I do not care what you refer to yourself as long as we can come together and understand that the first people to possess this label look like me and look like you, and that our nemesis, our enemy, do not look like us, then I'm cool with what you're talking about. I'm cool with what we talking about. I'm cool with it. Like, I'm cool with it for sure. You know what I'm saying? I'm cool with it for sure. Again, original people of the planet Earth, man, we have traveled. We touched down on every part of this planet, fam. Whether we made it our home or not, we explored and traveled and touched down on every part of this planet before white people were even thought of. We knew about all these areas. We knew about all these continents, all these land mass. We knew about all of this before white folks were even thought of, fam. And that includes Antarctica. We didn't travel. Just listen. You say ain't a black person in there. That doesn't mean a black person never traveled there, fam. So we traveled and explored. We the first explorers and all of that. We didn't did all of it. Just like Columbus and them pulled up and thought they discovered something, they didn't. Black man, just best believe a black man and travel to Antarctica and all of these cold climate places before white folks knew these places exist. We just chose not to make it our home at a point. Like we know it's there. You know what I'm saying? But that don't mean we didn't touch down on that particular landmass first, which we did. We just was like, all right, cool. This over here, let's go ahead and go back. Let's go ahead and go back. Mr. DJ, peace, appreciate the Cash App. We touched down everywhere, man. And they know this. Like, they know this. Like, they know this. The honest white scholars know that. They know good and well. Like, it doesn't even make any sense, like, logically. Like, even when you was sitting in school back in the day, you was like, man, how in the world Like, I mean, when they told you Christopher Columbus discovered, like, man, how you discover something when people was already here? Like, when we was kids, like, logically, I was thinking that. Like, man, how we saying this dude discovered something and it was already people here? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. So, like, they know that, fam. Like, they know the truth, man. They know what's up. Like, I shouldn't have to bust out some Ivan Van Sertima. They came before Columbus and things like that to show and prove that. Man, they know that. They know it was people here in existence before they. Like, come on, man. Like, that's just like common sense. Like, that don't even make any. It doesn't make any sense. And that idiot, Christopher Columbus, he was lost. You know what I'm saying? He didn't know where he was. Like, that's a whole nother, you know, and that's a whole day on a calendar, Columbus Day. Crazy. Crazy. Mark, I'm trying to tell you, the touchdown everywhere. Then touchdown everywhere. You know, and they got me messed up. That's why we got to listen. That's why we got to get back and start teaching the truth to power, man. Like, I realized that's lacking that's lacking out here on these platforms, man. I've been really doing the knowledge and paying attention. You know, and these are actual facts, fam. These are actual facts, and it's by design, you know. But I'm tapping in. I'm like, man, like my algorithms weird now, man. I'm like, man, they doing a number on us. They controlling these algorithms, man. I be popping up on my YouTube seeing stuff that ain't got nothing to do with anything, and they got me. You know what I'm saying? Like, they got me watching it. I'm like, man, I don't be watching nothing of substance like that. And I'm not gonna say I don't watch nothing of substance. Nothing of substance comes to me like that. I have to go find it. Back in the day, my algorithm, man, if I open my YouTube homepage, man, I'm seeing all type Khalid Muhammad, Steve Coakley, all these folks. You know what I'm saying? I'm seeing everybody. You know, I'm seeing everybody that I tap into. Amos Wilson. You know what I'm saying? Bobby Hemming. Just everybody who I'm tapping into. I'm seeing all these folks. It's like, now, man, I got to go search for that. And even if I go like a few of them videos and watch them, algorithm still gonna show me that mother gonna show me Lil Boosie goes off on his daughter. T.I. chokes his son. Like, I'm gonna see that. I'm like, man, I don't want to watch that, fam. You know, so every now and then I go, all right, look, let me go type in Khalid Muhammad and just put it back in my algorithm. Let me go watch some Khalid Muhammad. Let me go like it real quick. You know, I try to nope, algorithm still don't want to act right. You know, so they doing a good job with these algorithms because they control the algorithm. You know, they try to make the algorithm a mysterious process. See, they don't want us to know the knowledge and the science. They don't want us to know the knowledge and the science behind these algorithms. They don't want us to figure this thing out because they got to control, and they doing a good job of controlling what we see. And that if you want to control the minds of a people, then you are going to control their source of media, what they consume, you know, what they see. So they are doing a great job of that. There is no way you can control a group of people or get a group of people to do what you want them to do if you can't control their media and what they see, what they take in, their information. So if you control their information, you can control their minds. You can control their minds, you can control their bodies. And that's where they got us, man. So they got to control what we see. They got to control what we consume mentally. You know, so that's why your algorithms be looking weird, fam. That's why your algorithms be looking weird, because they controlling what you see. So they control your mind. Oh, wow, you think you making these conscious decisions. Like, no. You are being programmed, you are being manipulated by their algorithms, fam. Cool K, gone. You know, I remember, man, I'm trying to tell, Farrakhan's another one. Contrary to how people feel about Farrakhan, I ain't gonna speak negatively of anybody that helped turn my life around. But back, man, I used to watch, man, there's a bunch of gang of Farrakhan speeches I remember watching back in the day on YouTube. Can't find 95% of them. And that might be 99% of the speeches that I used to watch back in the day. And I'm talking about I used to take notes. I used notebook taking notes. I ain't know why I was taking these notes, but now I realize it. I was taking these notes because I knew that soon these videos wouldn't exist. I'm like, man, I was taking notes because I'm like, man, they gonna eventually get rid of these videos. And I remember telling myself that back in the day. You know, I remember telling myself that back in the day. I'm like, man, let me pull out these notebooks and take these notes, man. Because I'm like, ain't no telling how long these videos gonna be up in existence. So let me take notes. So when I'll be watching the 3 hour, 4 hour long Farrakhan lecture, I'm like, let me take notes. Boom, I'm taking notes. Now I don't even know where my notebook's at. You know, so I done took these notes and somebody done got me for a notebook. I don't know where my notebook's at. You know, but I'm like, all right, let me watch this Khalid Muhammad debate. You know, debating this white dude. All right, let me take notes. Boom. Let me Steve Coakley. All right, let me take these notes, man. He exposing Illuminati, Bohemian Grove. He talking about all this. Let me take some notes. Bam, boom. 5 years later, man, ain't no remnants of these videos. So it sound like if I start talking about some of the things that existed on them videos back in the day, you would think I was lying. Like that's how, like a person that didn't see these videos be like, man, wasn't nobody on YouTube talking like that back in the day. You lying. But I have no evidence. At least I don't have the video footage on YouTube. Like I can't go to YouTube and supply them with the videos. They don't exist. They don't exist. I remember back in the day when I remember watching it was like a 2 or 3 hour long documentary called The Obama Deception. I don't know if you all watched that, but I remember watching that back in the day. The Obama Deception. Man, you cannot find that these days. You cannot find it. I remember watching The Obama Deception. That was about 2.5 hours long, I think. And it was on YouTube. Man, you try to type that in YouTube now, man. I promise you that ain't coming up. You know, the Obama Deception, man. I was watching. I mean, I was tapped into everything, man. I was breaking it down. Now, you know, I was breaking down the Illuminati in the sense of the evil secret societies. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, they was studying, or they got that idea from us originally, and then they took it and corrupted it. So I was talking about like Skull and Bones when they had folks digging up, and they had some of these presidents, people that would eventually become presidents, digging up dead bodies, all type of sex rituals, things like that, things that really was happening. You know, you was able to find documentaries and all that on all of that. That's all gone. I remember watching a documentary on the origin of HIV and literally how it was manufactured in a lab. What's the name? Hillary Kaprowski. Things like that. And how they took it, how the monkey had the cousin virus of HIV. And how the only way that we could have gotten HIV in the human population was two ways. Either we started having sex with the monkeys, or somebody took the blood from the monkeys and injected it in some humans. And that's how it spread. I remember watching documentaries on that. Literally broke it down like the only way that HIV could have made its way into the human population is that it was one or two ways. We start having sex with monkeys, or somebody took the blood from a monkey and injected it into humans. We was living without something called HIV for AIDS, whatever, for a very long time. Then all of a sudden, boom, we got this virus going on. But all of a sudden, now we got this virus. Man, that was manufactured in a lab. Fam, they have admitted this. They had documentaries where the folks was admitting this, and these weren't no conspiracy documentaries. And even I don't even have a problem with those. But this wasn't even that. This was a legit documentary where the legit folks who was responsible for manufacturing the virus were talking. The actual wife, they literally was telling you what they did. Look, we took the virus and we injected it, you know, on the folks in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa. Like they injected the folks in Africa with the virus. They were saying this. This is why you have African populations that be having the highest cases of HIV. They literally took that virus from the monkey, took the blood that has the cousin of HIV, then they went to Africa and they started injecting the black folks, started injecting the Africans. So what they did. They literally admitted this, but I can't find the documentary. It was literally a documentary. And I'm talking about a legitimate documentary, not a legit documentary on this happening. They're manufacturing these viruses. But now if you try to go find this, can't find it. So now somebody hear what I'm talking about and they think, man, this dude crazy, because they can't verify or fact check what I'm saying online. Can't do it. You can't Google this and it pops up. Some other stuff, some BS gonna end up popping up. Or they gonna tell you how what I'm saying is misinformation. Back then, they wasn't doing that. They wasn't doing it. They wasn't doing it. All these viruses that you see, which they probably gonna end up getting rid of this video now, because they do all my videos like that when I mention individually. But all these viruses that you see definitely have been manufactured, and a lot of the times they notice. Have you all know? Most of the time, when it comes to a virus, do you notice a lot of times the point of origin is an animal? That lets you know right there that the stuff is manufactured. When you get down to the bottom of when you get down to the origin and the root of a lot of these viruses, it goes back to an animal of some sort. And we got plenty of movies. What's the movie? Outbreak. We got plenty of movies that reveal this truth. Oh, the monkey broke free from the lab and infected the humans, things like that. When you start studying a lot of these viruses, a lot of the origin of a lot of these viruses, they're going to go right back to some animal. Now, you must ask yourself, how are these viruses making their way from animal to human? They are taking the blood from a lot of these animals, and they are injecting. That's contagious. Yeah, that's it. That's the movie. Yeah, but hey, man, wasn't Outbreak a joint too? I'll be getting these movies all crossed up, man. But you got to ask yourself, man, how are all these animal-related illnesses and viruses, things that the original people, we are dealing with a lot of viruses that were foreign. We are dealing with a lot of illnesses that were foreign to black folk before we encountered white folks. Some of these illnesses that we are succumbing to these days were foreign to our people. That's why we have a hard time a lot of the times reversing some of these diseases, because they were foreign to our people. Our people never had to fight some of these diseases. So we done had to figure out ways to reverse them, because we like, man, we ain't never had to deal with this until we encountered these folks. Now we fighting a bunch of new diseases and ailments. Now we got to figure out how to attack it. You know, so that's why you will see some of these ailments and diseases taking some of us out, because it's foreign to us. We like, man, hold on, man, I ain't never, man, what is your body like, man, what is this? This is weird. You know, boom, taking us out. Again, and this is part of the plot. See, people don't like when we start talking about depopulation and things like that. They don't like that. But that's always going to be part of an agenda. Man, I was reading a book. I was not even reading it. I was going back and reviewing the notes in Brother Wesley Muhammad's book, Understanding the Assault on the Black Man, Black Manhood, and Black Masculinity. I've mentioned this book more than enough times. But I want to read something from this particular book. And it's going to correlate what our great ancestor Frances Cress Welsing was teaching back in the day. You know, we are very pleased with the work she put out for the community. But I want to read something. I want to read something from this book, man. Let me read this, man. So y'all just do the knowledge. Let me read this to y'all. Just follow along with what I'm about to read to y'all, man. We're gonna do the knowledge. We're gonna always bring up some type of source or some type of book, because that's what we do. But follow along with me. This white fear is not mere speculation. The 2008 U.S. Census projected that by 2042, the national U.S. population will be majority black, brown, and Asian, which we refer to as yellow. Whites will be a minority again. Northwestern University scholars Maureen A. Craig and Jennifer A. Richardson conducted research in 2014 on the impact that this information about America becoming a majority minority nation had on whites. Their research indicated that 31% of whites surveyed, Republican, Democratic, Catholic, Protestant, were bothered by this, perceiving it as a group status threat. This perception of threat increased racial bias among those surveyed and portended increased racial hostilities for the future. Indeed, these whites felt immediately threatened, even though the threat was not expected to manifest for 3 decades. These bothered whites therefore supported more conservative, racially biased, and even racist political policy. The only thing that made the surveyed whites feel better, Craig and Richardson tell us, is the reassurance that despite the demographic shift, whites are likely to remain at the top of the future racial hierarchy in a majority-minority America. So they surveyed white folks, and 31% of them white folks was like, wait a minute. You say by 2014, the world is going to be predominantly black, brown, and Asian? 31% of them white folks was like, that instilled fear in them. What you scared for? We done been living in a society where we done been told we the minority for how long? So why does that make you afraid? Why does that make you afraid if they say by 2042 the world is going to be predominantly original? Why are you afraid? Why does that make you nervous? Why does that make you support racist policy? We done been living in a world where we have been told we are the minority, even though that is some BS. We have been living and existing in this world, and we didn't have to cope with it. We didn't have to support policies that ain't have anything to do with the upliftment or advancement of black people. So why is that making you nervous? Because y'all already know what's up. That's that collective unconscious. That's that collective guilt. That's that collective guilt. They know what they people done did. They're like, man, if in 2042, if this world is predominantly this, man, that might be the end of us. It's that guilt. There ain't no reason. Why should you live in fear? If they tell you that the world just, they only thing they telling you, only thing that census told you is that the world will be predominantly original. The census didn't tell you the world gonna be predominantly original and white folks need to fear for their lives because we gonna kill them all. No, that's not what the census said. The census is just saying that the population will be predominantly black, brown, and Asian, the U.S. population. That's it. It's not telling you that it's gonna be chaos, it's gonna be killing, and we gonna take out all the white folks. It is not saying that. So when you hear that, when them white folks, when that 31% heard that, that's where their mind went, even though it should not have. Or we don't have a history of going out of our way to go kill folks because they don't look like us. That's not our history. It's not, we don't do that. Matter of fact, that's the reason why we got bamboozled, because we are so accepting. We looked at these white, we like, all right, you know what? Even though this group of people look a little off, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna bring them in, we're gonna civilize. We're gonna teach them that, hey man, you can't be taking showers and baths just once, once or twice a month. Like, nah, like, I mean, once or twice a year. Like, nah, that's dirty. You gotta clean yourself up. You gotta do this on a daily basis, fam. We're gonna teach you how to plant these crops. We're gonna teach you how to build. We're gonna teach you. So what we do? Not knowing that was gonna get used against us. Not know the whole time we dealing with the mass deceiver. But that's what we was dealing with. We open and we accepting. We willing to teach and civilize. That's what we did. We taught these white folks civilization. We gave them civilization. If it were not for us, they would not know how to do the things that they know how to do. They stole that from us. I can't even say they stole it because RP, we taught them. We taught them. Out the kindness of our hearts, we say, you know what? These folks acting real savage-like. You know what I mean? Like, they acting real savage-like. They out here, cannibal. They eating people, all this. Like, man, let's go ahead and civilize this, man. Let's see if we can civilize the devil, as we like to call it. Let's see if we can civilize. So we tried, and it backfired. We civilized, and we gave them some knowledge of civilization, and that backfired on us. We taught them how to be clean. We taught them how to grow these crops. We taught them how to eat. You know what I'm saying? We taught them how to live. And that didn't work out well for us. You see where we ended up by doing that. You see where we ended up by doing that. We civilized the savage, man, and you see how we turned out. Glow, doors, guard, door, peace, what's happening? TJ, yup. Greek philosophers that in their own writings are admitting to you that they traveled to Egypt, they traveled to these African countries, and they got the information and the ideas from these Africans, from these black folks, from these original folks, from these Israelites, from these Moors, whoever you want to call them. They are admitting that they got the information and philosophies and the ideas from them. But somehow school textbooks omit this reality and make it seem like these Greeks then came up with all of this. Then they got us living by weird phrases. Rome wasn't built in a day. Man, I don't care nothing about Rome being built. Before Rome was built, we had a million different African empires that existed. You know, but they got us unconsciously saying things like that. Rome wasn't built in a day. Why are we saying that? Why are we speaking like that? Why am I saying Rome wasn't built in a day? I don't care about Rome, and I don't care about Rome being built. When we had millions of other fabulous empires that existed before Rome wasn't built in a day. You know, but then you again, I talk about this all the time, all these theories, the Hippocratic Oath, got it from Imhotep, things like that. You know, the Pythagorean theory, like they didn't get that from the Egyptians, man. You know, all of these methods, man. When you're doing in math class, you're in geometry class, and they acting like, man, you looking at all these theories and concepts and these mathematical problems, and you're looking at the origin, and you're looking at who they came up with it, and all you see some Greeks or some white folk. And subconsciously as a kid, you like, oh man, black people have to be the dumbest people on the planet. We ain't come up with nothing. We ain't come up with none of this. What was we on? You know, that's how they had you thinking. And I ain't gonna lie, they had me briefly. They had me viewing myself in a negative light. They had me viewing myself as inferior. Like, man, look, only thing come with black being just dumb. Like, you know, we just dumb. They had to civilize us, they had to teach us. They came up with all these intricate theories and concepts, and they had to teach us. That affected me subconsciously. Like, I didn't even realize that until I got older, you know? And that, man, listen, that's why we got to teach the truth. Ivan Van Sertima has a book called Blacks in Science. Robin Walker has plenty of books related to blacks or Africans or whatever you want to call them, being the masterminds behind a lot of scientific theory and mathematical concepts. Those are two great brothers that I would recommend studying. You know, but they had me at a point in time in my life feeling like, man, it's worthless being black. Like, this is trash, scum of the earth. You know, scum. I'm like, man, we are the scum of the earth. I'm glad I just didn't get to the point where I'm like Sammy Sosa and them and I'm bleaching my skin. Which in certain parts of Africa, man, they got them folks. They got, you know, Africa has been colonized severely. You know, so you go to certain portions of Africa, and I think Jamaica, and they got folks, man, bleaching the skin is the norm, fam. Like, hey, bleach your skin. You need to be lighter. So I'm glad I didn't get to that point to where I actually started trying to do that to my skin. I'm glad I woke up before that was the reality of the situation. You know, I'm glad I snapped out of it before I end up doing something crazy like that. You know, but they had me, man. That, you know, they had me. They had me. I was what we call 85%. I was easily led in the wrong direction by the 10%, the bloodsuckers of the poor, those that know the truth, but they are withholding that truth and teaching us lies intentionally. I was misled by that group. I believe what that group was instilling in me. Allegories, what's happening? Master Dex, what's happening? Yeah, skin lip. In Jamaica, I was hip. Yeah, I forgot about India, but for sure. Yeah, and I know a certain portion in Africa, man, where the skin bleaching is prominent. But I definitely know Jamaica. And I forgot about India, but I heard about India too. Mark, yeah, exact man. Listen, yeah, and history lesson. You know what I mean? Facts on top of facts. You know, so that's why people that are teaching the facts, you already know how we end up. But that ain't gonna never stop me from teaching what's right and exact. You know, it ain't gonna never stop me from studying what's right and exact, seeking out that information, seeking out that knowledge. I'm going to always seek out that information. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna always seek out what's right and exact. I'm gonna always seek out the truth. You know, that's what I'm here for. And again, I'm here to seek out that truth and pass that truth along to my people, which is what I strive to do. You know, which is why I always want to see black people win because I know the truth about black folks, you know, not what they have given me about my people. I know the truth. I know where we were. I know where we came from. I know who we have the potential to be. So when I know this, then that's all I see in my people. I see this potential, you know. So that's why I always want to see black people win because I know what we are capable of if we just direct our energy and our mind in a certain direction. We are unstoppable, you know. So that's why every chance I get, I root for the black man. Every chance I get, I root for the black woman. Every chance I get, I root for black people. I root for the black family. I'm never rooting against them. I don't care how delusional it may be, man. You ask me, man, who you rooting for, and give me the black man. Give me the black woman. You know, we watching the track meeting. This one black chick running versus. I'm rooting for the black woman. I hope she wins. I don't care what the stats is or stats are. Give me her. Oh, the black man fight boxing against the white man. I don't care how much you think this white man. Give me the black man. I'm rooting for the black man. I'm team brother man. Unless you cooning and unless you selling out, then I'm definitely not rooting for you. At that point, I ain't rooting for nobody. You know, but if you the black man, if you somebody like Diddy or something, I ain't rooting for you. I hope you get everything that you know that's coming your way. You know, but if you standing in righteousness, man, if you ain't never did your people dirty, then I'm rooting for you every time. Every time. You know, but if you coon and you sell out and you just a white person in a black body, then nah, you got to go. You know, off with your head. I have no problems rooting against you. You know, let's keep that. Let's clear that up. Let's clarify that. I'm not just gonna root for you because you black. There are certain stipulations that are attached to me rooting for you. You know, so if you out here, like I said, cooning and buck dancing and trying to shuck and jive for these, nope, I ain't rooting for that. I ain't rooting for that. I ain't rooting for the sellout. I ain't rooting for no Diddy. You know, I ain't rooting for no type of dude like that. No type of black man like that. I ain't rooting for that. You know. Asada, hey, Robert Peace, what's happening? You know, so hey, that you not finna get my praise and support if you out here on that type of time. You know, and I just have to clarify that because I'm not just gonna root for you just because you black. I'm not just gonna support you just because you look like me. Nah, you gotta be doing right by yourself and you gotta be doing right by your people, fam. You know, if you out here pimping black folks, manipulating black folks, you just like these bloodsuckers. You gonna be categorized in that 10%. And I ain't rocking with you. You know, you preying on the minds of your people, you manipulating your people, you fabricating the truth to mislead your people intentionally, then I'm not finna rock with you. And that's just real. You know, and that's just real. And with that being said, I gotta make my moves. I gotta head back up to this gym. But first, I gotta make my second smoothie the other day. Cause you already know we're gonna always promote health. Health is wealth in this thing, man. You know, so we're gonna stay healthy because when things pop off, we're gonna have to be in some shape. You know, we're gonna have to learn how to live on a minimal amount of food, which we are in those times right now, you know, because they inflation and it's a recession, whether we want to admit it or not. It's a recession that's going on. You know, so we gotta practice fast, and we gotta learn how to thrive, be able to thrive and survive on a minimal amount of food, you know, and still maintain our strength. So it's real in the field. So I'm practicing, I'm training for that right now. You know, so health is gonna always be wealth. I'm gonna always give my body what it needs and not too much more than that. We're not gonna deal with gluttony around here. You know what I mean? We're not gonna deal with greed and gluttony and all that. Give the body what it needs, keep it moving. Don't overdo it. Don't underdo it, don't overdo it. Do just enough to give your body what it needs. Keep it pushing. And your body, listen, you don't need to eat that much in order for your body to be satisfied. You know? But I gotta get my second smoothie in my system, man. I gotta make my way back up to this gym. So I appreciate y'all tapping in, man. I appreciate Cash Apps, man. I appreciate all the love, all the comments, man. Hopefully y'all took some jewels away from this particular build, man. But I'm gonna catch y'all when I catch y'all. You know, y'all be easy and y'all stay healthy out here. I'm out though. Peace.